Welcome to another episode of Behind the Badge, Orange County. I'm Ross Nemeroff, and today we're going to take a look at two K-9 units in Orange County, Fullerton Police Department K-9 unit, as well as the Fountain Valley Police Department K-9 unit. We're going to give you a front row look on how they train their dogs on a daily basis and how they prepare them for every day in the field.
Fullerton Police Department, you have 5 seconds to make yourself known or police officer will need to find you. Suspect, show me your hands!
Here today with Officer Tim Hayden with the Fullerton Police Department. How you doing today, Tim?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Great, thanks for bringing your dog out and participating in some of the training today. So tell us a little bit about your dog's, what's your dog's name?
His name is Rotar. He's a Belgian Malinois. The name came from actually the Fullerton South Rotary Club. They were kind enough to make the generous donation to our organization for the purchase and training of the dog. I chose K-9 because I enjoy working with animals. I've had dogs my whole life. It's something I've always wanted to do as a police officer is work with a K-9. Rotar and I will be together going on almost 2 years.
I'm Officer Jim Boland, Fullerton Police Department, and this is my partner Blitz. He's a German Shepherd. He came from Holland, so he looks a little different than the American German Shepherds. I've been with him for 7 years. I grew up with dogs. I've just always loved dogs, and just watching them work is just amazing what they can do. And you know, having that extra officer presence, really, most people give up. They hear the dogs there, or they hear the dog barking, and they give up, and it's just so much better for us. We don't have to deal with the use of force. We don't have to deal with all that stuff that comes with it. So 99 times out of 100, that people hear the dog, they hear that warning, they give up. They don't want to get bit, and so it works out really good for us.
All the partners you've ever had, is this your best partner?
He is. He doesn't care where we go. He doesn't talk back. And
What are some of the myths that you could tell us that are dispelled in the K-9 world?
I think the biggest one is that the dogs are mean. They're raised as puppies to bite, pieces of material, and then it slowly evolves into biting a piece of material wrapped around an arm, and eventually it gets into a bite suit, which is a full suit, and they're taught to bite basically anywhere, typically the arms, because that's what carries weapons. But the dogs aren't mean. They're, that's playing for them. It's like a person playing tug of war with a pet dog.
I'm John Mueller. I work for Fullerton Police Department, and this is my K-9 partner, Mueller. A lot of people have a misconception that the dogs are mean. There are mean dogs that are K-9s. There's a lot of mean Chihuahuas too,
Right.
But it's a case-by-case basis. This guy will lick you to death, but he does his job.
They're not mean. That's what they've been trained to do.
How much training did he receive before he was certified to go on the street and work?
Rotar and I actually went through a 10-week training course, 5-week intense at a K-9 academy, and then another 5-week on-the-job training with where we shadowed another handler.
They're already trained in the apprehension, but we get them to get familiar with us. We teach them narcotics at that point, and then we train every Tuesday.
My name is Bill Hughes. I'm a police officer with the City of Fountain Valley with the K-9 unit. I have a German Shepherd. His name is Perro. He's 5 years old. Yeah, we'll basically train anywhere that people will allow us to train. So what happens is every week the handlers get together and we decide who's going to host the training, and it's our job as handlers and people in this unit to go out to businesses and residents in our city and find suitable locations. What we're trying to do is to mirror or mimic obviously real life applications for the dogs,
right,
to give them that practical experience.
What type of training devices do you use to train the dog on a daily basis, and what did we see out here today that was used?
When we do apprehension work, some of the tools you saw today were the bite suit, and then we also use a muzzle blade.
John, we saw you today getting bit up quite a bit by these dogs out here. What's it like to actually have a dog clamp onto your arm here?
To actually have the dog clamp on, you will feel pressured. You'll bruise inside the suit as well. You just feel it almost like putting your arm in a vise with some kind of a padding over it and just keep squeezing and not let up until a handler recalls the dog or pulls the dog off. It's pretty much almost kind of like having a major league slugger come up behind you and hit you in the kidney or the back or the thigh with a baseball bat. Dogs have a lot of pressure underneath their bites.
What would it feel like to actually get bit by one of these dogs?
I have to imagine it'd be extremely painful, feeling the canines rip into your flesh, and they do puncture quite deeply, and the more you fight, the more the dog's teeth move inside, and resisting the dog's only going to hurt more.
It's kind of a really warm day today. You sweat quite a bit in that thing. Is that what the dogs are picking up on? Is your sense of fear or that sweat coming off of you?
They pick up an odor of fear, adrenaline, the scent, anything that's pretty much out of the norm for the dog to sense and everything like that.
So you hear a lot of trainers talk about a fear scent. Some agree with it, some disagree with it. From what I've seen from my training experience is that your new agitators put off a lot of adrenaline because they get nervous to be in the bite suit the first couple times, and the dogs will find them a lot quicker. If you put me in the bite suit, I don't get nervous or anything because I've been doing it for so long now, where it's a little harder for the dogs maybe to find. The biggest thing that they're actually is the scent of the person, but the big adrenaline dump that suspect is putting off, so the dogs will find them a lot quicker.
They're typically used on bigger crimes, usually felonies or misdemeanors involving weapons, things like that. The reason we use them is because they're so fast, and their nose, their ability to find somebody in a hidden area.
If we do search the whole building, usually when we give a warning, 99% of our suspects surrender at that point because they know a dog's going to be used. It's a lot safer for us instead of rounding a corner and not knowing what's behind that corner.
Right.
The dog could go and apprehend that suspect.
You might have a person that bailed out of a car on a pursuit or something like you were talking about, and they're hiding in, a big brushy area or a field. They could be laying down, and we could be literally walking right up to them and step on them before we see them. But with the dog, they're going to be able to go and pin them down and bite, hold them, keep them in place. It allows us to get to them a lot safer and easier. They also do what's called article searches. So you have a guy running and he throws a knife or a gun or something like that during a pursuit.
Right.
We can go back and backtrack that general area, and as long as nobody's been walking through it or trampling, disturbing the ground in that area, you can go out and pick something out that's been dropped recently. So it's amazing the stuff they can do.
The dogs for us in law enforcement are a tool. So oftentimes in intense situations, the public feels safer. That perception is there when they see a canine handler, driving down the street or the car. But even further to that, we do things like public demonstrations.
So just bringing them out in the public and letting people pet them, let them see actually what they could do to benefit officers, to keep them safe and actually keep the public safe.
We're not only able to educate the community and members of the public about what the dogs do and what the dogs do for them and for us, but what we as police officers do for them as well and the services we provide. So it's an awesome tool, an awesome way to bridge that gap.
That's great.
Come on,